I I believe I have been accused of being a Boo Hoo Phony, and a lot of people have are rather upset with me just recently. And I don't remember if it's anything that I did. I have been tolerant, but I guess I pay a price for for my tolerance. I have I've been told that my ideas are terrible, and I think some of the things that have been said about me is that that I'm. Let me see here. Some of the things that were said about me on my show. One of them said, uh, "Is it maniacal? MM wants a brass knuckle nun. What next? Will he want to steal Girl Scout cookies from Girl Scouts?" And then Debbie Daly says, "Funny. He told the same story on my show, except the one being beaten was Brian." I don't remember that. And Master of Rope said, "What an emotional reaction. Brian is such a baby." And then he also said, "Who is this woman getting emotional?" Accused me of being a woman who is who's getting emotional. They a lot of times will say, "You're not stoic. You're such a fake. You're such a little phony." And to them, I am. I'm a big fat fake, and I am a phony. But that's kind of the way it goes. If people don't like what you're talking about, and they don't like the subject matter that you're bringing up, they will definitely smear you. Uh, they haven't really given me anything that I said in specific that they disagree with, but they have, uh, I guess, kind of smeared me. And Debbie smeared me as a real phony. Like I made up a story about myself, and then I turned it around, and it was my father. I don't remember saying anything like that, but perhaps she has evidence on that. Maybe she'll play it and prove me to be phony. And I could go on about me being on Twitter, and I kind of spend some time here, probably wasting my time debating people, but it's kind of how I spend my time, and I certainly like at times to debate and cross swords with people and ideas. But unfortunately, I guess there are people out there that take offense at the manner in which I choose to do things. I've even been accused of being suicidal. I guess that's kind of strange. I never knew that I was giving off those kind of vibes, but I guess to some people that's the manner in which I am coming across. It's kind of interesting how people will pigeonhole you and not necessarily give you a reason. To a degree, it feels like the reason is primarily that I exist as a human being. And I don't hear them saying anything about my ideas. Um, but I guess they may be offended by it, but they don't want to say the exact words. And I bring them on to discuss. And then one of them makes fart noises, which, okay, that was your response, um, basically. And I've done that myself too, and it is kind of funny to a degree. And there uh, is an appropriate time for anything, but just seeing things and kind of kind of observing things. I'm probably going to continue to kind of repeat myself at the kinds of people that are out there that kind of get a pass on their behavior, and they are kind of ridiculous and rather foolish, but they get away with it nonetheless, and it does kind of remind me of when I was around certain people. They had power, positions of power, and their ideas might not have been very good, but they still had the power to enact. And also, I remember, there were times when athletes would um, get to play uh, positions and get certain game time, even though they were not as good, because the coach kind of liked them as a person, but how they performed um, on the field was not that good. And certainly, I take a look at our modern news media. I hear a motorcycle in the background, but I look at our modern news media, and a lot of the people there, um, there is a lot of frustration out there because they seem to be rather reckless with regards to their behavior. And being someone who is kind of a news junkie, a movie junkie, a movie buff, and kind of a news junkie, and even perhaps even a political junkie, uh, I noticed behavior that I had not witnessed before, and it's something that is on my mind. and it kind of sticks with me. And I guess people say that I'm crying, and perhaps I'm a broken record, but it's interesting to me. And there are a lot of people that don't like it, but I certainly am concerned with the manner and the way in which the nation's cultural norms are changing, and not necessarily for the better. And there are a lot of people out there that are very frightened uh, of the establishment, and if they say or do anything that is incorrect, they will be punished. And this is something I've never really seen before. And this is something that comes out of the internet. And social media, the internet, is responsible for changing uh, cultural policy and the psyche of human beings, and the right to legitimately dissent. I'm seeing that right before my eyes. And I think if other people look at it, and they look at it objectively, they will see the same things that I am seeing. Uh, we, we are seeing the uh, corrosive nature of our culture, where individuals, if they feel passionate, can basically just slander you, um, and demean you. And, because they're passionate, that's what makes them feel right. They don't have to give you any logical reason. They just have to have passion and feeling behind it. And I guess for mentioning this, I'm called a boo-hooer and a crybaby. But I don't think I've ever cried on camera. I don't think that that's necessary. Uh, and I don't think that reporters and newscasters should cry on camera. You're supposed to keep your composure and keep your emotions out of it. I remember for the longest time I never saw a reporter break down, or it was very rare. And now you see it quite, much more often. And I guess I'm called a crybaby. I'm called emotional, and I'm called fake. And perhaps to them, I am. And perhaps to other people, I may be as well. I certainly can't judge myself. Sometimes a person cannot judge themselves and see how they're coming across to others. But I certainly know how people make me feel, and that certainly informs me. My emotions inform me, and hopefully I get the emotion, and then I think about it, and I try to act accordingly to the best of my ability. But I'm seeing a lot of hyperbolic talk from our establishment. And they certainly get away with things. And again, human beings will sometimes objectify you and treat you as an object of hate, disgust. Often women get treated as an object of lust. Men can be treated as an object of hate. And such objectification doesn't just include lust, it includes other things. And all human beings, many human beings can be subject to objectification and not treated as a human being. And one of the things I wanted to do was, even if people came with different opinions that were not very good or are noble, is not to objectify that person and listen to them as a human being, because we don't necessarily do that as much anymore, and there's not a place where human beings are listened to, and that's rather sad. There's a belief that certain people were so much more morally superior than that we don't realize that they are humans with a story and with a past. We just want them to obey and think in the manner in which we think. Most anger comes from a self-righteous place. Benjamin Franklin said, and he may have said, righteous anger often ends in a lot of embarrassment. And I'm one that's done the same thing. I've gone off half-cocked and pissed off, and occasionally I have done that. But I believe I'm getting better at that behavior, but people still will anger me. And I'll lose my temper and want to do that person harm because I feel that they deserve it. But if they've only said something to me, they certainly don't deserve to be physically harmed. And I know I'm going back on this Jessica Doty Todd Whitaker. But again, someone posted there was someone saying that the media ignored it. And there was someone who put further story about that, and made, like, to a degree, downplaying what had happened. It does kind of remind me of, I remember the subway shooter, Colin Ferguson. There was someone who, they do like classic TV news programs, and one of them was of Colin Ferguson. And it was, it might have been a few years after Dylan Roof, the person who went into the black church and murdered people there. And I guess when the police caught up with him, they gave him Burger King. And there were people making comments. Did Colin Ferguson get his Burger King? The Long Island shooter, who basically he came from the West Indies to murder white people. never really been around them, didn't perhaps know them that well. He lived in a predominantly black country, but he immigrated to the United States of America and took the Long Island Railroad to kill and murder whites. But people made the comment, Colin didn't get his, the police didn't get him his Burger King. Now, on our average, they'd say, he wasn't brought in a lot. A lot of times they'll say Dylan Roof was brought in alive and went to Burger King, and other people are blown away. Well, this, who are not violent offenders are blown away. The black offenders are blown away. That kind of narrative. But Colin Ferguson blows that narrative away. He was taken alive, and I believe he's still alive today. I think he's serving in upstate New York. And my question was to those people, why don't you bring him some Burger King? Get him a Whopper. Get him a Whopper for justice. Film yourself doing it. You won't get canceled. If I'd have if someone would have given Kyle Rittenhouse a burger, a cheeseburger or something like that, he would have been canceled. But if someone brought Colin Ferguson a burger, and there was a guy who said he had a picture of Colin Ferguson on his wall, and of course he would be able to have something like that on his wall, and he would still be able to keep his job today. But do the reverse, you won't keep your job. You have a picture of somebody controversial, Colin Flaherty, Stefan Molyneux, Jared Taylor. You have your picture of those people, you'll be canceled. And those guys never murdered anybody. Colin Flaherty has passed away. But, a guy could probably have a picture of Colin Ferguson, and nothing would happen to them, even if they knew it was Colin Ferguson. This is the day and age that we're living in at this particular time. And it is what it is. Right or wrong, times are what they are. Maybe one day you can ask, is this fair? And some people will say that this isn't happening and these inconsistencies do not exist. But I believe that they do. I believe that there are moral inconsistencies. What fuels those moral inconsistencies, I have ideas on, but that's something I will discuss later. But I believe that there are moral inconsistencies within the society, within Western society, and probably within civilized society. We have certain ideologies out there right now that individuals believe, and these ideologies will not be questioned, and they are given the internet to basically control policy, and it's gotten worse. And the people who run social media sites are not necessarily brought before questioning on why they do what they do and what their agenda is. Anyway, this has been Brian with Transparency and Merit. Like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, maybe even share the video if you wish. Thank you for listening.